Africa Climate Resilient Investment Facility, AfriRES, strengthening capacity of member states and stakeholders to build climate-resilient investments in transport, energy, agriculture, water, and ecosystem sector.
I'm McClain from Republic of Liberia. Getting people on board to be able to explain to them has become difficult when you're trying to work with people. People are afraid, even those who are educated, they are afraid to provide the information that you need. And so if you even go in the community, people don't really want to interact with you. And so there's a whole lot of challenges we actually get. So most times we try our best to be able to talk to them and see how best we can bring them on board. Between 2008 to 2015, World Bank did a research, and they found out that even in land ministries, we still had gap when it comes to knowledge of those who are working in land ministry and in terms of climate change. And so the University of Liberia was then identified to be the one to be able to train people in land ministry. In terms of documents, the country has developed a lot of documents, but for people to understand the document is where we find a gap right now. So the knowledge gap is coming from the universities, coming from institutions, CEO, NGOs, the government, and those are in the community as well. So most times when flooding takes place, people always come in, they only just say, oh, the reason why flooding is in the community because people build on drainage. And so because they build on drainage, or maybe because the misuse of garbage is not disposed properly, that's why risk cause the flooding in the community. And so people not actually going out there to explain to the people what actually leads to flooding. Building resilience is something that we're not going to, even for people to understand how to adapt to climate change. We yet to meet the people at a lower level. And so if people cannot adapt, how can you build resilience? And so we need to first of all bring them together, let them adapt to climate change, and then we'll be able to build resilience. And so adaptability is something that is still outstanding that we need to work on before we even go to resilience. The first day, the professor was able to help me to understand resilience, especially looking at from the three parts that he actually explained. You have to be persistent, you have to be able to adapt, and then once you adapt, you'll be able to produce resilience. That's something I actually learned. And then from today's teaching, there's a whole lot of model we've been working with, using temperature to understand the temperature when it comes to agriculture sector, to use the temperature when it comes to flooding. There's a whole lot of model that he has been teaching us since then, and these are something that I think will be very useful back in home. I'm going to do every teaching in the classroom. Okay, if I carry it in the classroom, I will be sustaining the knowledge, because I'll be passing the knowledge from one group of people to another group of people every year. And I will also do it for research as well. There's a whole lot of research work that I need to do. Maybe the reason why we are not going that direction, because we don't have a lot of people using our temperature data to be able to explain to our government officials. And so if we start to use the temperature data like what the professor did today, this is something that I actually want to do to be able to fill in the gap as well.
AfriRES facility is a joint initiative of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, Africa Union Commission, the World Bank, and the African Development Bank, with initial funding from the Nordic Development Fund. The training, in conjunction with the African Institute for Economic Development and Planning, IDEP, aims at strengthening the continent's decision-makers' capacity to plan, design, and implement climate-resilient projects. IDEP is the UN Economic Commission for Africa's training arm based in Dakar, Senegal.